HipHopGame.com, the number one hip-hop website. NYC at its finest. Skyzoo, Torae, Primo on the boards. It's custom made. Coalescence. They ain't see this one coming. Yes, y'all. The dude with the fitted to the left is right back at it. I ain't lost a step. Respect through the ceiling. I ain't lost a rep. Ran 100 laps and I ain't lost a breath. So fuck whoever's next. Young and I'm the moment at hand. May God help you, but you gon' get to know that man. Son, I'm past what your aim is. Fuck around and try to get famous, and you'll be slapboxing the stage.
It has been a while, but hopefully you guys are all doing well. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. This is the Snort Report, brought to you by Hard Snorts Gin and Tonic, that toxic flavor that will never waver. Hopefully you guys' New Year's is going well. Happy belated New Year's from everybody here at GTG Network and Productions, the Snort Report, SnortBucks Coffee Company, the best beverage company, Hard Snorts Gin and Tonic, Tim Hortons, or Tim Snortons, actually. And all other associated brands and subsidiaries. So, why are you guys here today? I'm not really quite sure, but I do have something to talk about, so that's something that's a thing. We are here to talk about DSP and the concept of starting a family, or the lack thereof. Now, I am someone who has been a very staunch proponent on DSP not having a family, and I have a bunch of good reasons why he won't. It's not more of a concept of he shouldn't, though he'd be a terrible father, clearly. He's a terrible person. Like, he can't manage himself, and so you're wanting to throw a child into the mix, let alone anything else. You know what I'm saying? The guy has been shit at everything that he's ever done or ever been. He's been a terrible friend. He's been a terrible son. He's been a terrible spouse. He's been a terrible fiance. He's been a terrible boyfriend. He lives only for himself. In the most bluntest sort of way. He'll never be able to do for anybody else unless it benefits him in some way, shape, or form. And that's it. Having a child or inserting a child into that situation makes that 100 times worse. DSP doesn't see, how do I word this? How do I start this off, I should say? DSP doesn't understand the concept of long-term investment, right? That's what your child is. Your child, or a child, is a long-term investment, right? Or at least that's one way of looking at it. Everything that you put into that child goes out or ripples or reverberates into the world. You know what I'm saying? So all the love, compassion, discipline, everything that goes into building a proper environment for a child goes into that child. Now, if you're someone like DSP who envies and covets everything that he sees around him, you can't do that. You don't have that in you. DSP, for all intents and purposes, is a sociopath. He only thinks and lives for himself. But ironically enough, he can't actually do anything for himself. He's useless. He really is. When you think about just how he conducts, quote unquote, his business, just about everything that he owns was purchased by someone else or was provided by someone else's generosity. It wasn't his. That microphone, that soundproofing, that mic stand, all someone else bought that. That was Patreon money. The PS4 Pro was someone bought that. Someone theoretically bought that PS5. Someone theoretically bought his Xbox. Someone bought his Switch because he fucking bricked his, and someone else chalked up the money to get him another one, even though DSP got his refund on that bricked console. He doesn't ever tell you that. Look at his quote unquote setup. Laptop someone purchased. I know I'm really behind, but I understand that his capture card, someone bought it, even though he had 2 previous capture cards from way back fucking when, which could have been suitable replacements until he could actually shop around and or do his research and buy another. Instead, he buys 2 more, so wasting more wasting more manpower, only to send those back as soon as his whoever it was in his audience ends up sending him basically an exact model of the one that he had. Because DSP doesn't ever really want to try nothing new. He wants to go with what he knows works, what's tried and true. And because he is not willing to take risks, he's not given chances. Or if he is, it doesn't matter because he's not willing to take the risk. He's not willing to take a chance on those risks. So it doesn't mean anything. Anyway, back to the concept of children. Your children are an investment. You take care of your children, you raise them right, you raise them to be respectful, you give them the general idea that the world around them will not work in the way that they think that it should, or even the way that you teach them. At the same time, you still want them to be respectful, you still want them to be productive people in society. DSP isn't that. He has figured out a way, or he's been conditioned in such a way. Whether nature's nurture, that's a discussion for people to have, for greater minds, I think should have. But I will say is that he has figured out a way to blame people for all of his shortcomings as a person and anything and everything that he's failed at. And at the same time, he's convinced some of those very people that he threw all of his excuses at on why he couldn't do things to pay his way to get to where he's at now. It's fundamentally fascinating to look at. At the same time, over time, it becomes nauseating. It becomes infuriating in a lot of ways watching it because it doesn't make sense. And most people see the con for what it is. And after a while, and I'll use myself as an example, because I am a hypocrite, by the way, as all people are. It's easy to point and laugh at first, but over time it starts to, or it can start to wear you down. It really can. And so taking periodical breaks or whatever the hell that you need to do, touch grass, whatever the fuck you need to do to get yourself from one point to another, you need to do it. If you need to just step away, you just need to step away. But at the end of the day, the incubation chamber that DSP has set up for himself exists and will exist. In truth, people like myself are the reason why it exists, or at least why it's reinforced. There's no point in lying to you. Whether you're going to be an abrasive asshole like myself, or you're going to be someone out there that decides to give him the benefit of the doubt, you have contributed to what he is, where he is, and why he gets away with it. Period. And that is what it is. If you're pointing and laughing at it, that's one thing. But if you're taking that shit too seriously, or if you're taking yourself too seriously, or whatever, you're taking this shit too seriously, and you forget the fact that it's entertainment, you're trying to turn it into something else, then you've already failed. And you've only reinforced why people feel the need to support him. Because it's really weird how he'll go years without hearing from any of some of these positive contributors. The silent majority. But then every year some new cuck comes out of the fucking woodworks. It doesn't make any goddamn sense, but it exists. You know what I'm saying? The concept of DSP outliving everybody is a myth. It's a funny myth. It's a meme. But it is what it is. But it's not that DSP outlived anybody, it's just the fact that people moved on. You know what I'm saying? Or people took whatever it was that they learned or they got out of this, and they were able to apply it somewhere else. Now let's go ahead and apply that back to DSP. What could he really offer a child? What could he really offer a spouse? What does he offer his spouse? Catherine. Let's say, hypothetical pignosis, our favorite game. Let's say that I'm wrong. Wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last. But let's say I'm wrong. Let's say that the myth the thesis that I've given you guys for God knows how many years of his marriage being a sham, being an arrangement, being in agreement. Let's say I'm wrong. Let's say it's an actual legitimate marriage. Let's say they actually give a fuck about themselves and each other. Let's say that for whatever fucking reason that we don't understand what the actual dynamic is in their relationship, and DSP is just feeding us bullshit on his day off because he knows it's going to get clipped and he knows it's just going to bring more eyes on him, or at least garner him more attention in the long run. Let's say that's actually the scenario. Let's say. Now throw a child into that. Then what? DSP at one time or another has monetized everything in his life. Every square inch of this man's life to some degree has been documented in some way, shape, or form. From his parents' house to his first condominium to friends and or associates to his first relationship, and trust me, Panda was his first relationship, to his first marriage, to the breakdowns, to the breaking down of his hardcore fan base or fans in general, to different business opportunities or partnerships that he had arranged. Everything in this man's life has fucked up in some way, shape, or form, and he's documented it. It's perpetual failure through and through. Now imagine putting a child into that situation and think what will happen. Or think what could happen, which would probably be the worst. Let's call a spade a spade. DSP doesn't have kids. Not just because he doesn't want to have kids. It's because he's not mentally capable of putting someone else before himself. He can't do it. So let me paint you guys a scenario. Imagine Catherine or Panda or really only those two. Let's say one of them actually got pregnant in this hypothetical scenario. Let's say they got pregnant. And let's say DSP could somehow overcome his spending addiction, his alcoholism, and his gambling addiction, and was actually able to somehow, some way, be a decent individual and try to raise these kids and raise that child. First off, he's going to hold a level of resentment against that child because he has to change for that child. That right there in itself is already your first pet peeve. Secondly, he's going to figure out every little nook and cranny, every little way he can to try to siphon up more money off of that kid. As going back to my first scenario about him essentially monetizing and taking advantage of everybody and everything in his life. He's going to try to figure out what he can do to monetize his child. Oh, child's sick. Oh, child needs diapers. Oh, child needs this. Oh, child needs that. I mean, come on, you saw him do it with Jasper. Oh, Jasper needs supplies. Jasper needs this. Jasper needs that. I really need you guys to come through and help me because my day off is tomorrow and I don't have enough funds to do everything about everything. But he never told you guys, oh, well, maybe me and Catherine don't need to actually eat out that day. Maybe we could use the funds for that. And I could use that to buy Jasper supplies and we could just make something at home. He never brings that up as an opportunity or even as an option. It's always, I need this, I deserve this, I'm not going without it. So he wasn't even willing to put Jasper before himself or Catherine. Hence the reason why Jasper had all those urinary tract infections. And God knows whatever else. Then you got between him and Catherine, neither one of them could maintain a house. That's why we had the stationary ants. That's why we had the roaches. And God knows what other problems we have in that house. Then the house is falling apart in the exact same way as Wings' module trailer, or the module mansion, is slowly but surely falling upon itself. Which is even more fucking ironic because Wings has paid for that damn thing 2 or 3 times over. And his mother finessed his ass at every step of the way. Which only shows the type of disdain that she has for him. And you want to know why the fuck Wings kept doing that shit? Why he kept letting her? Well, not that he could do anything about it, but why he kept paying for that module over and over and over again? Because he was trying to buy his mother's love. His mother hates him and always has hated him, and he knows it. But he kept putting up with her bullshit because he was hoping that she would see him in some type of positive light. Similar, I think, in a similar way that Gangster Grandma used to see him. But she don't. She hates him. She hates the shit out of Jordy. That's why she finessed him out of that module mansion multiple times. That's the reason why she finessed him and all the money she finessed out of him, I should say, for that failed bar or restaurant or what the fuck that was that she tried to do all them years ago that failed. That's the reason why he don't own shit upon shit, and that's why when she died, not that I'm wishing that, of course, but when she passes away, that fucking module trailer is gonna go to her fucking whoever husband she married to. It's not gonna go to him. Or she'll split it up between his drug addict brother and his sister. Someone else will always own something over Jordy. And she set it up that way on purpose. He was too stupid and he was too complacent to do anything about it. For the amount of money he spent on that goddamn thing, he could have went and bought himself some land somewhere else and he could have built something. He could have paid to have something built. And it could have been his. But he didn't. Because for whatever reason, he was, well, not even whatever reason, like I said, he was complacent, he was lazy, and he wanted his mom to see him as not as a fucking failure, and more importantly, he wanted his mother's love. And he's never gonna get that. So, there's that. Now, just imagine what's DSP's kid's gonna be like. What happens if DSP's kid ends up being raised at halfway decently? What happens if the kid actually has some spark of brilliance? He does incredibly well in school. He doesn't get bullied. He becomes student body president or something. People look at him in a respective sort of way, maybe even as a leader. What if he's gifted athletically, not only academically? What happens if the kid picks up on fighting games as a hobby and actually does well and doesn't have to prey upon the people around him, but actually is willing to sit there and learn? Not look for shortcuts, not look for easy flowchart shit, and actually sits down and actually learns a game and can pick it up. What happens if in a couple of years that kid goes to tournaments and he actually does well? What if that kid actually wins Evo? What if he actually does go to college and let's say he goes on a full scholarship? What if he actually does well in college? What happens if he goes on and actually goes and works for a big company, work himself up there through the ranks, you will, finds the right girl, or finds the right woman, I should say, gets married, has a bunch of kids, has everything. What happens if that child obtains all of the things DSP thought he should have and never did? DSP is out here resentful and hating all these people for the smallest slights that they've done to him on Twitter. Just imagine how much animosity he could have for someone in his own home. Why do you think Catherine isn't making content anymore? What happens if Catherine's hate watchers ends up eclipsing Phil's, hypothetically? What happened if the troll tips on her Twitch ends up eclipsing what he makes? You're telling me he's not going to hold that against her? He can do it against all these faceless people out here that he don't know. So you're telling me he wouldn't do it to someone in his own home? Someone that he sees every day? Someone that's literally within hoof's reach? Whatever. Let's go ahead and get into the situation itself. We'll see what's what. Maybe you'll see where I'm coming from. Maybe you won't. But maybe it's, maybe it's a good watch. Some nice white noise in the background. And it is what it is. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Snort Report. This is DSP News. Always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Yep. GTG Network and Production. You guys all know the slogan. I don't smell no bacon cooking. We're about to get on that. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. Watch me work.
banana, tasty banana. Put banana in my mouth, squeeze the peel, it comes in then. Squeeze banana.
Do I still have all my childhood belongings at my parents' house? I don't know. I don't know the extent of what they've kept and what they haven't. They told me, I know this sounds crazy, but listen to this. They told me many times over the years, oh, they kept all my kids' stuff in their...
So, I don't know. I don't know what the extent of what they actually have. But then they tell me they kept everything. So do we not understand what the extent of what they kept? And them saying they kept everything? Okay, whatever. This is the same person who got a model train set, if I remember correctly. And they had to keep it upstairs in the attic. And they had to actually supervise him while he was playing with it, because they couldn't trust him. What a fucking toy train set! Anybody who says that DSP doesn't have some type of mental deficiency, you haven't been watching enough Dark Sci-Fi content. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's quite clear. Amongst his own audience, there's a reason why he's able to attract the people that he does. That's all I'm going to say. Not all of them, of course, but the majority of them. There has to be a reason. I remember I was reading something that people who have certain mental conditions are attracted to other people who have those same conditions. Like, one can sense, not to be a dick, but one... How do I word this without sounding like an asshole? I guess I can't. One dent can suss out, or dents are attracted to dents. I guess I don't know how else to fucking put it. To be honest with you, sorry, but I'm not sorry. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Tards are attracted to tards. Pure and simple. There has to be, like, what other reason is it? Like, what other reason is there that you get the nonsense that you get? Ow. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with DSP Tries It Memology 101. Let's see. DSP can't afford to have a baby. And let's see. Claims to be the world's hardest working content creator. This is from January 24th of 2023. The link will be down in the description. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it. Dents are, tards are attracted to other tards. Basically. So, I don't know. I don't know. Shit. It's funny, too, because for all the time that he puts into watching his own videos, to at least check if the ads are there and they're playing properly, if he sat down and actually watched his own content, instead of being cucked by his wife to watching other people's content, he may have a better idea of why his shit's trash. But if we go back a couple years, when we were doing those retrospective events or whatever, how many of those did he go through until he realized his own content was trash? 2 of them, maybe? And he started realizing his content was garbage? And to only reinforce that, let me paint the scenario. So, what he was doing was people would leave him video ideas with timestamps. And he would go through those. He would essentially... what's the word I'm looking for? He would screen those requests to make sure that there was nothing that could basically people could have a gotcha moment on him, and then he would go from there. But the more that people made these recommendations to him, the more boring he realized his content was. And it was fascinating watching it. He was literally sit there on stream and say, "Okay, guys, tell me where the good parts at." And there were no good parts. It was just the same mundane trash that he'd been putting out for years, that people told him he's been putting out for years, and he didn't believe them. That's why he sits there and spews that bullshit about meaningful content. Meaningful, ladies and gentlemen, does not always equate to entertaining. If he wants to make meaningful content, then find some content that can actually inspire people to do shit. Like real shit. Like for their own lives or whatever. Right? Because, like, if you think about it, going back to my child analogy, he can't even inspire his own audience to better themselves so they could be in a position to give him more money to take care of his wants. He can't even inspire them to do that. So how the fuck is he going to raise a kid? How the fuck is he going to have a quote-unquote meaningful marriage? We've all seen what fucking Catherine looks like now. She put on all that weight. She looks as miserable as ever. And that was by design. I guarantee you DSP did that on purpose. And you know what's even more fucked up about that, ladies and gentlemen? It's been a while, so, you know, I got a lot to say. It's funny how he's able to go ahead, quote-unquote, and he's getting himself right. Right? He's supposedly working out. He's trying to take better care of himself. But Catherine's all fucked up. And when's the last time Catherine went to the doctor? She shouldn't be carrying that much weight. Does that chick have diabetes? Does that chick have thyroid? What kind of fucking problems does that chick have? And then this whole new lighting thing he has, that new lighting ring or whatever, I think they call it a beauty ring in some stages or whatever. I'm sure you guys have seen what his face looks like, all the puffiness and shit, all the scabs and all the markings and all that. How healthy is he? So potentially, ladies and gentlemen, you have two very autistic individuals who can barely take care of each other. And you want to place a child into that situation? Even in a hypothetical scenario, you can see what's wrong with that. Literally a crime against nature. I'm not saying the concept of bringing pig and horse together in this unholy union is already an act of a travesty and an act against God. But you just have two people that can't even take care of each other. They can't even take care of themselves. Catherine was in a much better space and in a much better way when she was in Michigan with Subaru Man. Whatever it was that he was doing that she didn't like was obviously for her betterment. I mean, maybe the hair trick thing was kind of annoying. I don't know. But outside of that, it couldn't have been that bad. Now you're with this ass clown. You can't make content. You can't talk to people. You just sit around and vegetate and gain weight. And for what? So he has another woman in the house that he can call mommy and that'll cook his meals? She's not cleaning the house. So we can't even say that. Who knows who's doing laundry and who isn't? We know nobody's really cooking except the microwaving fucking breakfast burritos and DoorDash. So what else is there? Something to think about.
Attic. Just in case I have kids and I want to give it to my kids. I want you to think about how crazy that sounds. What? Why, if I had kids, would I give my kids the stuff when I was a kid? I don't want my kid playing with fucking He-Man figures from the 1980s. I don't want them using a stroller from the 1980s. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know.
Now, there's some decent practicality in what he's saying there. At the same time, it's just a matter of, one, he doesn't want to give his stuff up. That's clearly what that is. First off and foremost. And two, I think, obviously, because he's a tard, let's be honest, his mother and father aren't expecting him to pass on, I don't know about baby clothes. I would feel like, unless they were like, had those things vacuum sealed or whatever the case may be, maybe that's one thing. But if you're talking about if it's just in an old box and God knows what kind of mites and dust and stuff that's gotten to it, you know, you'd have to wash that a couple of times and sterilize it. I don't know if that's worth the risk. But like I said, maybe toys, maybe certain types of antique stuff that they may want that child to have later on down the line. Like, it's bigger than just some fucking half-dressed man that DSP had very, very awkward fantasies about, hence the reason why he's as sexually confused as he is now. It's bigger than that. You know what I mean? It's bigger than that. It's so much bigger than that. And then here's another thing that I want you guys to really think about. If a child is brought into this situation, DSP doesn't become the center of his universe anymore. At least not for his parents. And certainly not for Catherine. That child becomes the priority. DSP can't live outside of his own bubble. And because of that, the people around him can't live outside of his bubble. But if you throw a child in there, all of that attention immediately is removed from him and is removed to this to that child, to this little person in these early stages, who everybody has all of this hope, all of this belief, and all of this faith in, that they could actually be something. You know what I'm saying? And then, if you want to expand upon that, or you want to expound upon that, now his parents can really start pointing out some of his failures and start pointing out, hey, you need to make sure that the baby has this. You need to make sure the baby has that. You need money. I will send you money. Actually, we'll buy the stuff for you and we'll send it to you. That completely erases the whole mom and dad, I need help because these fucking mentally ill people online are always fucking with me. That little trust fund bullshit, that's gone. Now all of those funds and priorities come on that child. Now, ladies and gentlemen, all of this nonsense about, oh, my parents are too old and they can't fly out, yada yada yada, they're gonna want to see their grandkid. They're gonna want to see their grandkid. Now that changes things. Matter of fact, if they can't fly out to see that child, Phil, Catherine, or both are going to have to fly out to see them. You see how uncomfortable this situation starts to become? And very quickly, mind you. It's bigger than just the bloated bullshit, the exaggerated bullshit that he talks about. But let's continue. Maybe I'm not giving him a fair oinking.
I see someone asking in the chat, yes, my parents are just fucking stupid. Don't I want kids? I'm too old for kids. I'm 40 years old. I don't have money to do it. 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 I'm 40 years old. Financially, I'm not that sound. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I might be. Basically, I'm in a point of my life.
DSP's never been financially sound. First off and foremost. He's never in his life ever been financially sound. Secondly, let's go with his age. DSP is 40 going on 60. This is the same idiot who was running around telling you guys that he was getting exercise by lifting a gallon of milk. That's how he was getting his exercise. Can you imagine him now picking up a 6 to 8 pound child every day? Can you guys really see that? I mean, Jesus Christ. He looked like he was struggling just to pick up that, what was it, that whale gin or whatever the fuck that is, whatever the new brand is that he's drinking. What is it, $100 in one shot? Well, $100 per shot, I guess. So now he's drinking on stream, the one thing he said he'd never do. Anyway, the point being is the guy is all of his muscles are in atrophy. There's no way he's doing that. He can't keep up with a kid. He can barely keep up with himself. And he's been screaming that since he was 35. He's probably been screaming that since his early 30s. He never had any plans or aspirations of having kids. And Catherine kind of knew that when she first moved in. I remember it was like one of the IRL streams when he said that, oh, we talked about it and we agreed that we didn't have kids. And her face dropped. In a similar manner on how when Wings was saying, oh, yeah, me and Kelly aren't really interested in having kids and all this, that, and the third. Yeah, I can understand why these lol cows don't want to have kids. They don't want someone else within of their own, they don't want any of their own spawn to possibly be better or do better than themselves. There's a reason why these people are called lol cows. There's a reason for that shit.
Now, where if I maintain the course of what I'm doing right now, I should be able to hopefully, fingers crossed, refinance my home within the next couple of years. And if I do that, then I should be all right. And then I'll finally be financially sound, but I'll be in my 40s. I'm not gonna have kids.
How are you gonna be financially sound when you're gonna still be in debt? This idiot doesn't even have a plan. And I told you this years ago, that the end game, his only way out, he had 2 ways out of this. Really, it's one, but you'll catch my vibe in a minute. His only way out of this was refinancing or his parents die. Or both. The only way he's really getting out of this is if his parents die. Then he can, after Melissa takes her cut, he can only hope that there's enough money in their estate plus insurance, after he pays all the taxes and shit on that stuff, that he can pull himself completely and utterly out of debt. And even then, it don't matter, because he'll be back in debt in a couple years anyway. On top of that, at least over the last year or so, at least since he's turned 40, he talking like he ready to die. No pun intended. He's making it sound like, hey, he only has a couple more years left and it's almost over. He's literally talking like that. So the man has no prospects. Truth be told, he has no future. He's just hoping to essentially outlast, no pun intended, he's really just trying to outlast his parents. Just so he can get to whatever they have left financially. And even then, all he thinks about is using that money to get himself out of debt. And then he's going to incur even more debt after that, with no way of paying it. He doesn't have a clue. If this idiot lives till 60, he's going to lose that house. Because he's certainly not going to use the money that he would inherit to pay it off. He's already talking about it going to bills. Whatever credit cards he may or may not have now, let's say he does, the interest is probably out the fucking ass. And let's say that he's using Catherine's credit cards. He's probably damn near running those to the max. At the very least, it's already been proven that he only understands to pay the bare minimum. And he doesn't believe in paying a credit card off until he has to. Why the fuck do you think he had all those outrageous balances? Why the fuck do you think he had 14 fucking credit cards? On top of the loans and everything else. This man doesn't believe in paying people back. He doesn't believe in thinking in the long term. It's about the Snorts today, here and now. That's why current Phil is always fucking over future Phil. That's why future Phil will eventually become current Phil and fuck over his future Phil, and it just goes over and over and over again. And the only thing that he really has to show for everything is past Phil. And all of his quote-unquote accomplishments are few and far between, ladies and gentlemen. The man got old before he actually let himself get old. And did it in one of the most fundamentally irresponsible ways ever. Money. If you can't control your money, or if you don't have an understanding of your money or finances, you don't have an understanding really of anything. Truth be told. You could be as academically sound, you could be as athletically gifted as you want to be. But if you don't have an understanding of how finances work, you have nothing. You will always have to work 10 times, 20 times, 50 times harder than the next man. Because they may not be gifted with what you have, but they don't have the financial burdens that you have. Any money that they bring in, any capital they raise, can actually go to something like saving, which is more over than what you have. So, for example, DSP has this middle townhouse, condo, whatever, that he owes, let's say, $180,000 plus on it, if not more. This guy has nothing in the bank. He has no other financial prospects. He has no future except for begging. For some of you who may be just starting off your life, maybe you have an older car downstairs you just paid off. Maybe you just finally got from under your student loans. Maybe you're still living in an apartment. Maybe you just got your first apartment. You're still in a much better situation than he is. Because even with owning a home or a townhouse or a condo or whatever, the amount of damage that is done to his condo, The amount of problems that he has with the showers, with the toilets, with the mold and all the leaking under the sinks, which are probably under the floors as well, will set him back tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. He's talking about waiting for the equity in his home. That home has to be appraised. Someone's going to have to come out there and do an evaluation of, okay, your house may be worth this, but let's actually see what kind of problems it has first before anybody signs anything over to him. And guess what? When they find those problems, as they will inevitably will, he doesn't have any of the money to pay for it. Because this idiot had never understood the concept of you got to spend money to make money. But more importantly, you have to save. If you don't believe in investing, that's on you, but you have to save. And he's never been good at that. Any money is made is his money, and it has to be spent because he worked for it. And he's always held on to that. That's why he's failed at every job that he's ever had. That's why he's got nothing to show for nothing. That's why other people have to purchase the very basics for him to do whatever it is that you guys consider him doing every single day. He is a charity case at best, or he's a cancer on society at worst.
I don't want kids, first of all. And then on top of that, it's too late to have kids. It's not, I don't have the money to do it, to raise kids properly. There's so many people on this planet, they're like, just because I can have kids, I should have them. I've never been of that mentality. For me, it's, if I was going to have kids, it had to be within my means. It had to be that I know I could provide for those children and give them a really good life. I can't do that. I know I can't. I absolutely positively know I can't. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have kids and then put them in a situation where we're struggling constantly and everything's messed up. Absolutely not.
You mean like right now? Like, think about what he just said. I don't want to bring a child in the world where I can't provide them a good life and we're always struggling and stuff. You mean like right now? What'd you get married for? I'm asking you guys an honest question. What the hell did he get married for? What was the benefits of that? Do you think Catherine really wanted to get married? Or do you think she would have been happy just living under his roof? Being, what they call it, common law, like a common law spouse, I guess. She probably would have been fine with that. But what was the advantage of getting married? And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump over there to Wings for a second. What was the point of getting married there? Him and Kelly are never going to have kids. Kelly already has prospects on whoever the next man's going to be. Hence the reason why she's even more motivated to lose the weight, because because Wings has already given up on that. So what was the point of Wings, marrying Kelly? Oh, for the health insurance, I forgot. But see, Kelly has all this health insurance problem, or has all these health problems that she's trying to overcome. That essentially they're underwater on all of her bills, and that's why they're constantly trying to catch up to that. So, excuse me, marrying Kelly for health benefits backfired on Wings because he had to inherit her debt. And for what? So he can get his monthly Lexapro or whatever it is that he's taking? Was that really worth it, pal? At least with fucking Ralph, he has a kid with Pantsu or May. So it kind of made sense. Yet again, the union between hog and horse, whatever. But it is. I guess that made sense. I suppose we'll see how that works out. Seems like bad decisions all around, if you really think about it. And no one's really going to be happy with their decisions at the end of the day. So what was the real reason of getting married, Phil? What was the point of getting married? Was it entrapment? Were you trying to control her? Were you trying to restrict her? And I say that because, for all intents and purposes, I've joked about this for a very long time, but it still remains to be true. DSP stole another man's horse. If she'll buck on Subaru Man, she may very well buck on Phil. I don't know if he thought marriage vows were going to keep her in place, but whatever. If that's what he think. But what was the real reason of getting married?
So The answer is no.
Tuning in forever did a 50-bit cheers is Burnell Jr. running around. Now there's the thought. Yeah, dude, there was, you know, the bottom line is, if I had a stable income and things were a lot, if I was a big YouTuber, I made a ton of money, if I was a big streamer, made a ridiculous amount of money, if I had a stable income and I didn't have these issues with taxes and shit, and things constantly screwing me over, and also if I didn't have, you know, hundreds of people who were mentally ill constantly trying to hurt me, then maybe I consider having a kid, but I don't think so, man. Plus I'm 35 years old, you know what I mean?
So, yeah, again, we couldn't have kids when we're 40 because we're too old. Oh, can't have kids at 35. Too old. And money's still fucked up. So you're telling me at 30? You're telling me in his mid-20s? And here's the thing. He's telling you everything but the truth. Which is, he doesn't want kids because he can't put somebody before himself. It's an honest thing. There are a lot of people who have said, hey, I don't want to have kids because I'm too selfish. There are a lot of people who say that. It's being honest. You know what I'm saying? Fucking remove your morals from the situation for a minute. If you don't feel that you have it in you to be a parent, then by all means, there's no point in you being a parent. But DSP don't want to tell you that. He doesn't want to tell you, oh, I'm not going to be able to put someone before myself. He doesn't want to tell you that. He wants to give you all these other excuses. Too old. Don't have enough money. If I was fucking super popular like these other guys, then I might consider having a kid. No, you wouldn't. You would just run around and travel and blow your money even more frivolously than you do now. Everybody knows that. I mean, Jesus Christ, him and Panda didn't start publicly dating until he was what, 27, 28? And truth be told, I think he lost his virginity to Panda. I honestly think Panda was his first. And it kind of makes sense when you really think about it. That's why and I think in a lot of ways, it explains why he's so squeamish as it pertains to sex and sexuality now. I mean, except for those gay jokes, of course. He's pretty comfortable about that. Whatever.
It would be one thing if I was like mid-20s, but it's a little different now.
So I got a $1 tip. Can you consider consolidating uploads? When subbed to your channel, you get 6 minimum notifications a day, sometimes more, to the point where it's hogging up notifications like it used to in the past. Limit then daily rant. Limit then daily rant to just a few times a week. What does that even mean? Maybe limit then daily rant to just a few times a week. What? What does that mean? What? What you're saying is you think I upload too much. All right, let's actually take a look at what I upload in a day. Okay?
Let's cut the shit. Let's talk about what he uploads in a week. He's uploading, what, 6 times a day at the very least. So what's that, 32? That's 32 uploads in a week. YouTube only sends out, what, 4 notifications from your channel a day? I think. Pretty confident that's what that is. So let's just say to fit my analogy, that's what the situation is. So already 2 of his uploads are automatically lost to the fucking ether. He doesn't get any views, so that doesn't mean shit. Like, overall, it doesn't mean anything. So him begging for likes on a stream doesn't mean a goddamn thing if that shit doesn't translate later on. He privates the stream. If he was smart, he'd be unlisting it, but it doesn't matter. The point is the shit's not visible, so YouTube don't count it. It doesn't mean anything. So then he regurgitates the same bullshit that he did throughout the day, cut up, and it don't hit and it don't do nothing. And yet again, if we go by my analogy, 2 of those videos don't even get notifications. So what is that? 24? Well, no, it's not 24. It'd be like 12. So 12 uploads a week, you people don't even get notifications for, if you go by the 4 notifications a day. 12 of them are automatically lost to the ether. He's constantly working against himself. And then this idiot is trying so desperately to convince people, to get people to buy in. Let's use his verbiage for a minute, or his vernacular. He's so desperate to try to get people to buy in on this concept of him re-uploading these old playthroughs or whatever, right? At 10 minutes or at 20 minutes of video, and he's talking about uploading 6 of them a day. Because financially, he's fucked on YouTube. There ain't shit here. He could go back to Twitch, but that's strictly tips. He's not going to be able to get back in bed with Twitch, because if he was going to, well, I won't say that. Eventually he might. But I guess obviously not now, because if that was the case, he had already ran back to them. This guy don't got no morals about nothing. Isn't he, at the time that I'm recording this, wasn't he talking about, oh, I would never exploit Jasper, I would never exploit a family member, I can't do that, I can't be like those other content creators? But then he's hyping up all these fucking YouTube shorts with Jasper in it? Or he's trying to get people to buy into the idea of supporting that type of content? When weeks earlier he's saying that he would never do it? And there's no morals to this shit. There's no morals to any of this.
One podcast. It's a daily podcast, covers different topics every day. Love doing it, not stopping that. Gameplay. Every day I upload 5 gameplay videos. 3 for the morning, 2 for the late stream. If I actually have longer sessions or longer videos, usually it's 2 for the morning, 2 for the night stream. Correct? And then there's a daily wrap. The daily wrap is the way that I tell you everything that happened during the day. If you missed out on those videos, it's a way to recap it or whatever. All right? And I know what's coming tomorrow. Now, outside of that, I've started uploading YouTube shorts, right? People wanted these. This is something that people said, everyone's doing. Everyone does YouTube shorts. You got to do them too. It's interesting. It's necessary. And by the way, the shorts are doing well.
But that's not true, because he said weeks earlier that there was no future in it. It wasn't that big of a deal, and nothing's really going to come out of it. Then monetization for that is going to be, I think, next month in February, I think, is when, or March, one of the two, that when monetization is going to be available for YouTube Shorts, which is great if you're putting out YouTube Shorts and you're doing well at it. Here's something that people, and this is just something I've thought about, but I'm not monetized, so I couldn't tell you how that would work either way, but it makes you wonder, where's the money for YouTube Shorts going to come from? If advertisers spend so much money to have advertiser spots each and every month, for example. Like, any thoughts on that? And then with that being said, with the concept of YouTube Shorts and being able to monetize, that means the TikTok audience is going to make a move over here, just as the Vine audience did all of those years previous, and people like DSP is going to get shut out anyway. So the what is it? The most watched YouTube short that he has is what? Sonic Frontiers or whatever the fuck it is, right? I mean, I'm not gonna say it was a fluke, but he got lucky that it hit the algorithm, I guess. But I wouldn't even say that, because wasn't that shit getting spread around Reddit as well? Like, let's be honest, Reddit has always been kingmakers. They make and break videos. They make and break channels. So I'm just throwing it out there as one of those things. But there's not going to be some great success that comes from it, and I'm pretty sure that the money from a YouTube short will not be equated to that of an actual video. At least not at first, anyway. I don't know. We'll see. If someone knows more about it, please let me know.
The shorts, view-wise, do better than my videos. Just being honest, they do. And I think that's just the nature of the beast, is you upload something fast, more people are going to watch it than a video that's an hour long of gameplay. Give you some perspective here, okay? A YouTube short I uploaded this morning, all right? And this was as I told you, the 1-minute montage of the weirdest night of Warzone ever. Already has 1,700 views and 82 thumbs up within an hour and a half.
Jesus Christ, you exposed the fuck out of yourself at that ratio. But even still, you don't see a problem with that? When you have a YouTube short that's, from a view standpoint, is eclipsing The actual fucking bullshit that you put out on your channel, you don't see there being a problem with it? You don't see, or he doesn't see, I should say, the concept that, hey, maybe edited content might be the way to go. Doesn't he have somebody editing these YouTube shorts for him? Excuse me. You're telling me that it might not be a bad idea to wait a day, leave the stream up. Here, I know people hate it when I give him fucking advice, but it's not always directed towards him. Fuck it. The point is you guys don't like it when I give advice, but fuck it. I'm going to do it because that's how I make my point. Instead, excuse me, if you have someone who is willing to edit a YouTube short, they may or may not be willing to edit a video, or 2 or 3 or whatever. Especially if you were willing to throw something at them in compensation. But whatever. Don't you think it would be smarter to leave the stream up for the day, or leave his streams up for the day, and have someone edit the content down, and he could upload that the following day, and then he could put the stream, he could put that to private or unlisted? Does that not sound fucking reasonable? This way, whatever it was that he did for the day is on the channel, so he can at least benefit, excuse me, in some way, shape, or form in the algorithm or whatever. At least so he has some shit on his channel for the day. And then have someone sit there and break that down, speed run the rest of it into shorter, more digestible videos, if you will, and then post those the following day. And when he posts that, he can go ahead and take down the stream. Does that not sound reasonable? And here's the fucking thing: he doesn't even have to have that person edit everything. See if you can get someone else who wants to edit one of the other things. Someone edit the morning shit, someone edit the night shit. And as long as they can get that to you in a timely manner overnight, you're in a good spot, essentially. Does that not sound reasonable? He's kind of already leaning towards that. Excuse me. Because if he can convince someone to do enough YouTube shorts, which supposedly he has a bunch of them on backlog, eventually it's going to go to that. Now, I don't want to call out no names on who's doing the editing or whatnot. It don't matter. If they've agreed to do it, that's on them. But he might as well go ahead and get that. He might as well go ahead and start implementing that. It doesn't have to be done overnight. Do it slowly. And have them edit the night streams for a little while first so they can kind of get a hang of it. And then find someone else who would be willing to edit a couple of the early streams. The morning ones. And then just see how you like it. Just saying. He's not going to do it himself. He's completely and utterly reliant on other people anyway. So if you're already going to use people that you don't give a fuck about and you don't respect and you don't care about anyway, at least use them properly. Because let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, everybody uses everybody, but no one is out to be misused. Except for DSP's audience, apparently. So if you got a bunch of people who are willing to be taken advantage of, then you might as well go ahead and do it. It's a fucked up way of thinking, certainly, but this is DSP here. He can't do shit by himself anyway. He doesn't like or respect these people anyway. So what's stopping him? Let's cut the morals. Let's cut the morals out of this bullshit. It's okay for him that, well, it's not okay, obviously. That's why he gets shit on. But he's okay with asking them for disability money, but he's not okay with asking for them to fucking edit videos for him? Something to think about.
Yeah, it's doing really well. So, I understand what you're saying. You're like, oh, there's a lot of uploads in one day. Can you cut back? All right? Well, here's the thing. I'm not like all the other YouTubers out there that do one video a day. I actually work. Okay? I do. I put out way more content than the vast majority of YouTubers out there. All right? I just do. Why? Because, number one, I'm a real gamer. I'm not here to just put out an edited piece of content one a day and say, oh, I'm done. I'm not a news story guy. Oh, there's 2 news stories today, 2 videos. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm a gamer!
I'm someone who has passion for what he does. If you can't tell, when I play these games, I have a lot of fun.
Well, first off, you sound like you're a fraud. That's what you sound like. You sound like a poser. Because you are a poser. You're not a fucking gamer. You don't have passion for shit. I put out unedited, long-form bullshit, and that right there equates to passion? If you were passionate about something, wouldn't you want to be the best in the sector at it? Wouldn't that mean you'd be open to ideas and to different ways of bettering yourself and bettering the content if it was your fucking passion? Let's give an example. You love your wife, supposedly, right, Phil? You care about your wife and whatnot. She means the world to you. She's your soulmate. Wouldn't you want to be a better man for your wife? Well, better pig. Better man pig. But you know what I mean. I'm going to use the term man loosely because, of course I would. But wouldn't you want to be a better man for your wife? So wouldn't you want to do the best that you could to be around for her? And to make sure that you're providing for her? And you make sure that she is in the best spot that she can possibly be? That she never has to fret or worry about shit? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, maybe it's me just being an asshole, because I am an asshole, but isn't this the same chick who's downstairs crying each and every time someone brings up the fact that he jerked off on stream? And the fact that she couldn't get over it? This is the same person I'm speaking on, right? This is the same dude who couldn't get it up for Panda, and he had to wait until Panda left to go to work so he could jerk off before he could play his game. Didn't wash his hands or nothing. Who knows if he even wiped up? Right? This is the same dude who Panda said sex wasn't really that great when they were in Connecticut, but it fell off it kind of fell off even further when they moved from Connecticut, and she's from Pennsylvania, I think. When they moved from their respected states on the East Coast to come over to the West. Right? So, I mean, if he was passionate about the things in his life, wouldn't he want to do better and be better at them? Okay, maybe I'm reaching. Maybe that's too much to ask from Phil. Maybe Phil, I mean, low testosterone is a thing. If Panda was his first, that means he don't have no experience. And if he's someone who all of his experience essentially came from porn, he wouldn't actually know how to do anything anyway. Stroke game would be terrible. He wouldn't know how to fucking balance himself out and shit. He doesn't know about pleasuring a woman anyway. So, I mean, that wouldn't have worked, especially someone as young as Panda. I mean, there would be problems. There would be issues that they would run into. Which is crazy to me, right? Because he's so quick to talk about all these other successful YouTubers and streamers and about their money, yeah? He's so quick to talk about all those things. But he never took into account why they did what they did and who were they doing it for. When DSP talks about other people's money, he always talks about the materialistic aspects of it. Nice cars, big houses, nice boats. The same type of materialistic stuff that some of his wealthier, not friends, but some of his wealthier associates had when he was a younger person back in Connecticut. He equates money with materialistic stuff. Or what materials, right? He doesn't see what actually goes into not only buying those things, ladies and gentlemen, but owning them. Paying them off. He doesn't see the value in that. He only sees things on a surface level. Something to think about.
I want to make progress in the games. I am a Let's Player while I am working to diversify myself to do other stuff. A Let's Player cannot put out one video a day. It's not going to happen. All right? One video a day, I'll make no progress in anything. We'll never finish any games. If I was a ginormous Let's Player who had millions of views and a ginormous viewer base, then I could do one video a day. I'm not.
How does that make sense? Think about what you just said, Tard. You said that there's no way that a Let's Player can do one video a day because you'll never have any progress in everything or in anything. But you're an idiot who plays multiple games a day, multiple games a week, and it takes you months upon months to finish anything. If it doesn't get wage quitted. So how are you in any better of a situation? And then, going back to our materialistic short-sightedness, then you're saying, if I had a huge fan base and I was getting a bunch of views, then I would put one video a day out. Why? Do you expect all these people to be sheeple and they're just going to go ahead and take one video a day from you with no progress and it's supposed to drag on for months on end? How the fuck does that make sense? How the hell does that make sense? More people, more viewers, less content, and everything's going to be good. What? Like, I understand I've been off the court for a while. I do. I get that. It is what it is. I get it. But what the fuck happened? I mean, he wasn't very smart. He wasn't very logical. He didn't have a lot of common sense when I left. He didn't have much of that when I fucking started my rookie year. But Jesus Christ, what is this? This is dumb meets dumber, fighting or racing with dumbest to the race to the bottom. What is this? Holy shit. I can see why people got bored. Holy shit.
Was, by the way, back in the day when I was super popular, I still uploaded as much as I do because I love what I do. I actually care. This is not a paycheck.
That's a lie, because you were uploading between like fucking 50 and 60 videos a day. And people told you that was too goddamn much. And matter of fact, the only reason why he uploaded as much as he did is because it was all completely and utterly view-based. And he took advantage of the system. He didn't care. He was spamming people. That shit is what ended up getting DSP Gaming demonetized years later. Whatever. Whatever. DSP loved the kids.
For me, this is a passion. All right? Therefore, no, I'm not going to stop playing games and upload less. That's ridiculous. You have the means to stop seeing that many notifications in your inbox. You do. You have the ability when you subscribe to a channel to say what you do and don't want to see. So why are you yelling at me because I'm prolific? Instead, learn how to use YouTube.
Why are you yelling at me because I'm prolific? Did this dude have like a mental breakdown or something and no one told me? I have so many questions. I have so many questions.
How about that? After 15 years, baby, I'm tired of hearing shit that people don't want to learn how to use fucking YouTube. You learn it, not me. Jesus.
Wait. Excuse me. After 15 years of everybody telling him that he's been doing everything wrong, everybody else needs to learn how to use YouTube. Yet you're the one on YouTube begging to try to scrounge up a living for yourself. That's what he's saying, right? He's saying that everybody who watches his channel are fucking idiots, or who complain about his channel and uploading too much are fucking idiots, right? Yet he's the idiot who doesn't have any other platforms he can go under, right? He's burnt out almost all of his resources and or bridges to those resources, right? And maybe 15 years ago when people told him to ease up because you're just oversaturating your channel, which ends up killing, which is what eventually killed him in the algorithm, right? Instead of taking heed and really learning from the mistakes he made all those years ago, he ain't filled his fucking piggy head with his bullshit about being prolific. And it's everybody, yet again, it's everybody else's fault. And yet again, this is why you don't have, this is why he shouldn't have kids. This is by far why he shouldn't have kids. Because he don't believe in responsibility or accountability. It always has to fall upon somebody else. It's always somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's burden. Wow. Holy shit.
But I suck. I'm a terrible gamer. I'm horrible.
If I'm going to bring a life into this world, okay, I'm going to do it in a situation where I'm going to give that life its absolute best situation. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to be rich and shit like that, but at least you have to be able to put food on the table. You have to be able to protect that person or creature, whatever it may be. You have to provide an education.
Wait, actually, is it true that he referred to Catherine as a creature not too long ago? He was saying that, you know, that Jasper and Catherine, these creatures depend on me. Did he really do that? He referred to his wife as a creature? On top of that, does anybody not catch the same vibes that I'm catching in that him saying, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to make sure that, you know, I'm giving myself all the advantages. Isn't that the same sniff and snort show that he said when it came to diversifying his content? Oh, if I put out the best streams, I want to make sure that I'm doing it at the best quality possible. I want to make sure that people are entertained. When I put videos out, even if it's archived, I want to make sure they're accessible. I want to make sure that people can watch them at the best quality possible. Do you not see how he's trying to correlate all of that with the same way that he's correlating bringing a child into the world? And then more importantly than that, you can barely provide for yourself and Catherine and Jasper. You have begged for grocery money. You have begged for money for Jasper you've begged for money to get supplies for Jasper. You have begged for you and Catherine to have extra money so you guys can eat out once a week. You clearly can't defend yourself or Catherine or Jasper, hence the reason why you only leave your house once a week. You always keep playing up this whole thing about a gated community. Like, fuck all, someone couldn't just jump over that fence and be right there at your front door. Let's call a spade a spade. You can't, I mean, if you honestly think about it, one could make the observation that he's admitting, hey, I can't take care of myself. I can't take care of Catherine. I can't protect Jasper. Bringing a child in is a bad idea. Maybe a moment of clarity. He's an alcoholic, as you know.
You know what I'm saying? All those things. And for me, you know, over the years, have I ever considered having kids? Yes, I have thought about it. But, you know, I've never really been in a situation where it's like, okay, I feel settled. I feel like things are settled and consistent. Or, for example, with the amount of harassment that gets thrown my way on a daily basis by complete scumbags on the internet, why would I want to bring a child into the equation? I mean, hell, Kat, my wife, has absolutely nothing to do with any of the drama associated with me, my channel, my business, or anything, right?
Not
She's
true.
Never been.
First things first. He's trying to give us the Jasper speech, just in case you guys don't remember that. That he was afraid that if they had unveiled Jasper before he could figure out a way to get people to pay for him, that, you know, people would somehow harass Jasper. I don't know how the fuck you do that. I don't know how you harass a cat, but alright. But this is the Jasper defense. This is literally the Jasper defense. Like, someone's just gonna jump the fence, as I previously said, and they're gonna snap pictures of little Philip or little Felicia, I guess, and whatever, you know, in front of their bouncer at the fucking patio door, some silly shit. Like, be fucking real about that shit for a second. All right, first things first. One, no one. You have the reason why Catherine got the shit that Catherine got is because you lied to your audience and said that you were trying to raise money for taxes, when in actuality you were flying a woman halfway across country. If you didn't lie about the taxes, then she would have still taken a hit. But you literally lied to people to raise money to bring to basically bring your roommate over, which is really all she is. She's a glorified roommate, not even with any sexual benefits. Because if there was, he wouldn't be so angry. But so there's that scenario. Two, she knew what the fuck she was getting into when she fucking, not only when she moved in with you, but when she got married to you. Which means that your whole nonsense about, oh, she gets so upset when people bring up the incident, is absolute fucking bullshit. And then in one of your early IRL streams, didn't you guys have a laugh at that and saying that she said she didn't care. I'm sure she found it embarrassing, but she didn't care. How did we go from that to a few years later she's crying downstairs all the goddamn time? 3, you're the idiot who put her picture out, or put your picture out of the two of you on Instagram when she touched down. If you really wanted to keep her private, you should have did so. But then again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the same idiot who gave us that spiel about how she wants to be known, she wants to be part of her about a part of his content. Matter of fact, didn't she say in the big reveal video they did together that she said that she does exist and she is real? So fuck on with that. You don't get to do that. You don't get to spout off that bullshit and try to go ahead and throw that on somebody else. She knew what the cost was. You're a public fucking figure. And you tried to put her out there for profit. She knew what the risks were. She knew what the situation was. The fact that you convinced her, or you somehow cucked her out of her social media, astounds me to no fucking end. You can't. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about this for a minute, because I've thought about this quite a bit in my absence. DSP amongst locals, at the very least, you can't pay for this type of coverage. You can't pay for this type of day-to-day publicity. You just can't. You don't think Wings wouldn't have loved to have the troll tips that DSP get? Or the potential troll tips that Catherine would have gotten? Jesus Christ, Wings actually tried to exploit Kelly in some degree. She was doing like Animal Crossing streams. She did a couple other ones or whatever. Fell flat, so to speak. But you know what I mean? He tried. Wings tried to get some paper off that shit. With his fucking top hat and shit, looking like some southern pimp. He tried. You know what I'm saying? But DSP went ahead and sidestepped all of that, not because he gave a fuck about Kat. It was because he was trying to protect himself. Kat's an afterthought. He didn't want her in a position where someone could end up convincing her into saying something that he didn't want to be said. Proof of that is, look at how people play him. He gets fucked over into not really fucked over, but he gets entrapped, or he gets baited into situations all the time. He is so nervous now that I feel like he has to read a question multiple times before he even engages with it, because he doesn't know if there is if there's a double meaning or an entendre or whatever the case may be, or a metaphor to something that he's not going to be able to catch right away because he's not sharp. And as the years have gone on, he's gotten less. His knife, his fucking Boy Scout knife, really, more than anything, has become more and more dull. You can see it. So don't feed me this bullshit about how look at what Kat, and Kat never did anything to anybody. Why does she get all this hate? You put her in the position for that. That's your fault. That's your fault. No one told you to put that woman out there to be exploited like that. And if so, then let her go ahead and do her own content and let her deal with it that way. That's what that comes down to. You isolating her was your fault. So if she can't handle the pressure of being married to a public figure, i.e. being a public figure herself, honestly, then that's on her. But we'll never know because you never gave her the opportunity. Just something to think about.
Involved in it, yet my haters and scumbag shitheads on the internet bring her into it all the time. They try to say disgusting things about her. They try to bring up all kinds of stuff that has nothing whatsoever to do with anything here. Literally no connection to anything here with our lives.
You're an
they
idiot.
do this.
You don't get to just cut. You can't cut yourself off from the world. You can't do that. Neither can she. You're a fucking moron. Just like how you say you don't want nothing to do with the FGC, but for some fucking reason, you keep finding reasons to interject yourself with the FGC. Going back, I can give you a bunch of examples, but one of the main ones, back to 2022, was your situation with that guy in those different arcade machines that he had. You're not following that dude. You're following someone who's following him. Or you're looking at something that was trending. You saw that. You were mad because he was able to obtain those things, which you could have yourself too, but you didn't want to. You wanted to blow your money on dumb shit instead of what you were passionate about. You see the connection, ladies and gentlemen? Instead of spending money on what you thought you were passionate about, right? And you sat there and called him out, and basically you called him a poser. That's what you did. You can sit there and say, "Oh, I didn't say anything rude about him. I didn't try to put him down or anything like that." Yeah, you did. You called him a phony. You called the guy a poser. You said, "Hey, he's not a top player. What the fuck's he need that for?" Bitch, you weren't a top player either. Truth be told, John and Howard weren't top players. They were good players, but they weren't top players. Did they need their head-up Japanese machine? No. They were passionate about the game. That's what it was. And it pissed you off seeing him have that. That's what bothered you. And it was just enough of a trigger that I don't know why you thought anybody was going to go against him and say, "Oh, you know what? Maybe he is a poser. You've never been a top player. You've never been this, that, and third. What do you need that for?" You're just, I mean, how could can he just not appreciate having that old school arcade feel? There is a market for arcade machines, and there are people who want to get their hands on them. Maybe that guy has fucking memories of playing arcade games with his brothers. Maybe his dad. Maybe some family member that meant something to him. Not running around for fucking internet clout like you're dumbass. Let's jump forward from that, though, because clearly that's what it was. DSP called that guy a poser. The dude clapped back. The FGC took that guy's side because why wouldn't they? And DSP looked like a dumbass as usual. That situation with Arturo and Maturino, which I do want to go over that, but there's a lot to go over, especially the situation with Fnatic. Speaking of which, I am, not that it matters, but I am disappointed in Button Check, Ernesto, that he don't know who fucking Fnatic is when you've been around long enough to know who Fnatic is. I'm very stunned by that. That you don't know who Fnatic is. And you've been around long enough that you should. Especially if you followed the money match scene as heavy as you did. Fnatic was known for that shit. Fnatic made more money doing money matches than he probably ever did winning tournaments. Then again, sadly, a money match was one of the reasons why he ended up retiring, but that's a whole rigmarole in itself, and it was really fucked up how they did him. And if I remember correctly, only Justin Wong was the only person that came out and defended him. Whatever. Fnatic can kind of say that he really didn't do anything wrong, and he did everything correct, and he still got fucked. But that's semantics. We can talk about that another day. But why does DSP keep inserting himself into that shit? What, because you and Arturo are friends? Well, are you guys really friends, though? Are you really friends, though? Just because you hung around a dude don't make you his friend, dude. To be honest. And Arturo has, for all intents and purposes, I don't know what the full details with this shit is, per se. I know a lot of people jumped to conclusions and said he just outright stole it. I know Bum, D-Nice, and that other cat were definitely pushing an agenda. And Maturino didn't really help it, because if it's true that Maturino just let Arturo be the scapegoat, that's kind of fucked up. But then again, Arturo shouldn't have let himself do work for them for a year for fucking free. That definitely wasn't going to fly. Anyway, that can be spoken about at another time. The point being is, why did DSP insert his fucking nose into that shit? Why was his snout digging into that? Oh, because a couple of guys went ahead and equated Arturo's interview with I can't think of the dude's name, but it'll come back to me. He equated the interview Arturo did to essentially being a DSP response, which which is what it was. And the reason why that was because Arturo thought that Maturina would step up and, you know, speak on his behalf. But it didn't benefit them to do so. Arturo was a very convenient scapegoat. Arturo did something wrong, clearly. It's just a matter of did he do what they accused him of doing? And what are the specifics of that? Something about. Anywho, why did DSP insert himself into that? And why is he still talking about it? He said he was brought into that because someone named him. And yet he's still talking about it. I don't think you and Arturo were that close. To be honest. And Arturo has given you chances as it pertains to being a mod on his streams, and you fucked it up with your own fucking personal biases, which got you laughed off and run off of his streams. Which is the reason why you don't mod for him no more. You don't talk to Arturo on your personal time and shit. Jesus Christ, you're too lazy and too stupid to pick up the phone and call John. Remember? John needs to call you. You didn't change your number. So, I mean, have you tried to call John? Did his number change? Did you not try to call Howie? I got so many questions now. I just got so many questions.
Because they feel that they're being intrusive and that's funny to them or it's fun to them. They are nasty, disgusting sociopaths. Okay?
Fucking bitch.
Now, can you imagine if I had a child? Right? How about a child? Right? How could they ever live growing up? Being hard, because you know the moment I have that kid, people would be trying to harass that, find out information about them, try to, you know, God forbid they grow up, they're going to school. Oh, let's find the school to go to. Let's do this, let's do that. Like, it's insane, but they would do it. If they're crazy enough to try to find out the place where I sent my car for car repair, if they're crazy enough to try to figure out the cost of the appliances in my home, right? If they're calling my electric company to turn off my electricity, if they're impersonating me a million places to try to do fucked up stuff and ruin my life financially, I'm pretty sure that harassing my kid would not be above them. All right? So, you know, I'm in a situation where, no, I don't really think that it would be ever safe to have a child. I'm just being honest. With the level of harassment that I get online, I really don't think that's ever going to work.
The question is, does he actually mean safety for himself or safety for the child? That's the real question. Where does his concern actually lie? For himself or for the child? And then here's another factor that because DSP is all about himself, he's not even thinking. What about the stress that Catherine has to deal with? Catherine's a parent there too. If nothing else, she may actually be the only parent in that scenario. So she's the one who actually has to deal with the stresses of it. But you notice how she never came up though, right? Wasn't brought up, wasn't considered. Who's that bitch? Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, give me a second to reconvene, get myself together here, reconvene for final thoughts, and then move on with the day, because holy shit. Holy shit. Oh my god. All right. Wow. Well, let's say there was a little fill-up. Let's play a song. Let's play something that would have been suitable. This'll work. See you guys in a second.
You got to be one. I don't care how far removed you are from it. You got to be one. I don't care how far removed you are from it. You got to return to that. You got to be a warrior. Your blood got to still be able to move.
Marking territory in your area. Somewhere on the corner in America. With terror is a dog, you like a terrier. The world is full of warriors and warriors. Warrior, we warriors. You know they don't make them any more like us. Who told you the stories you've been telling us? The world world is full of warriors and warriors and warrior, we warriors, warrior, we warriors. You know they don't make them anymore like us. The world is full of warriors and warriors, warrior, we warriors. Pull up on your shorty, what you jealous for? Who told you the stories you've been telling us? The world is full of warriors and warriors and warrior, I got that fire. You worrying about getting fly. Bow down to the meaning.
Oh boy. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. So, there we go. The concept of Dark Side Phil being a parent. To be honest, I think it's apparent that DSP is not cut for it. But there's a lot of people that are probably not cut to be parents, to be honest with you. Truth be told. There are people out there who just can't give enough to be suited to it. Now, people can grow into it, truth be told. But there's just some people that are just not built for it. It is what it is, to be honest. So the fact that he's saying that, you know, hey, I'm not gonna be a parent. I can't be a parent. Yada 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 yada. My problem isn't actually with that, because truth be told, he's being, I don't know if I'd say honest, but he's being fair enough with his scenario to realize he can't do it. He's just lying about why he doesn't do it. That's what that is. And it's because, yet again, he can't put anybody before himself. He can't protect himself. He can barely provide for himself. You're talking about someone who can barely wipe his own ass. You expect him to fucking be able to do this for a child? Like, let's be real with each other. Let's be real with each other. And that's why he doesn't really want to go back into the FGC. I mean, behind his keyboard, that's one thing, but he doesn't want to see nobody face to face. Those people, at least most of those people, who follow the FGC, those people who got married, actually got married. They have kids, they own shit. You know what I'm saying? This is really a hobby. And for some of them, they've been able to make it profitable. And more importantly than that, they have friends, they have connections for like 20 fucking years. These people don't have any of that. That's why I call him out on that bullshit with Arturo. Are him and Arturo really friends? No. No. He's the one, he himself says he doesn't have time for friends. I didn't make that up, that's what he said. So how the fuck do you call Arturo your friend? And truth be told, they were probably acquaintances at best. You know what I mean? They were acquaintances at best. And if they really were friends, did DSP reach out to Arturo when he got dropped from Team Spooky? Which, fucking A. I mean, Arturo's been associated with Team Spooky forever. I would say well over, 10 years. Certainly maybe over 15 years. I would think. A long ass time. At least over 10 years. It's definitely over a decade, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Did you reach out to fucking Arturo over that shit? No, you didn't. You didn't want to call it out either, though. You're not going to call out Spooky. You're not going to call out Dick Wolf. You're not going to call out Nerd Josh. I think there's one more other guy, too. But you're not going to call none of them fellas out. You don't want no smoke with none of them. So let's cut the shit about the friend thing. That's my essential thoughts on it. Like I said, DSP's just not cut to be a parent. And it is what it is. It'd be, at his age, you would think he would be able to be a bit more honest with himself on why. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yet again, the dude's an addict. He's not in his right state of mind anyway. Even if he was, he's still a selfish scumbag no matter what. Nothing will change that. So, as far as I'm concerned, a bullet was dodged. It's a shame that Catherine has been... Catherine is not given that opportunity. You know what I mean? I don't know if she'd be a good mother or not. I don't know if she'd be a halfway decent mother. I don't know. But sadly, she's never going to know either. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. I'll catch you guys for the next one, whenever that may be. Hopefully sooner than later. It says the Snort Report, and it says DSP News, always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network of Productions. For the Snort Report, SnortBucks Coffee Company, Hard Snorts Gin and Tonic, that toxic flavor that'll never waver. I've been your host / anchor, GTG, and I'm signing off. Care yourselves.
We warriors. You know they don't make them any more like us. Who told you the stories you've been telling us? The world is full of warriors and warriors. We playing a different game, it's not why I came. You should stay in your lane, it's a higher plane. I kept it hitting, I was crouching with the tiger flame. But niggas think they can kick it with the flying crane. Find your name, then I zero in. Make it hurt like meeting your hero. He on heroin in the heroin. Dope on the deck was part of the decade. It's my resolve pulling your card. Hit the deck again. Wonder why we had it hard. We was selling it. What we set up to settle is this a setup I settle with. Got a check and didn't buy nothing. I can make investments with. Let what you wrestle with. We you out till you worrying. Ain't trying to discourage him. I gotta encourage him. He gon' need empowering. All these streets are devouring. I'm reaching people crowding to the beaches surrounding. I'm making announcements wherever your town is a mile. Marking territory in your area. Somewhere on the corner in America. With terrorists, a dog you like a terrier. The world is full of warriors and warriors.